Welcome, beautiful Paris Saint-Germain family. A bit of negative news when it comes to Paris Saint-Germain. Um, I had a little bit of faith. I had a little bit of faith left that we are going to make one more signing. It was between Rodrigo Mora, Magnus Achlios, two opportunities. Two players that Paris Saint-Germain have been interested in a very long time. But obviously, Porto asking for 70 million. And Monaco asking for 70 million, which is too much for PSG, which is a little bit understandable, but at the same time, not that much. I mean, we bought Desire Doué for 60 plus 10 million in bonuses. This is basically the same price. And yeah, so I don't really know. But I think it's more also because, we have like Kangele, Gonçalo, we have these players. And I don't think Luis Enrique wants to get in players if we can't sell them and they want to stay now. Lucho want to keep it. So maybe something in January. But yeah, I had a little bit of faith, especially when it came to Rodrigo Mora. When I read the news that him and the manager Farioli were beefing at Porto, when I saw Rodrigo Mora constantly on the bench and not being used by Porto, when I saw the reports that Rodrigo Mora is completely unhappy and might, put in a transfer request, and then we saw that Porto put Rodrigo Mora on the transfer list. They put him on the transfer list. And when it comes to like entirety of Europe, Paris Saint-Germain was the only club that I've seen, linked with Rodrigo Mora. Only club. So I was like, you know what? We'll just chill. We will potentially be able to get Rodrigo Mora for less than the 70 million fee that Porto wants. I mean, this was basically intervention. They were helping us. Rodrigo Mora, Farioli, shout out to you, man. You were helping us. But as we all know, it's not going to happen. Maybe PSG were thinking about it. We don't know anything about that. Maybe PSG would have done something. But another club has done something, which is Al-Ittihad. Al-Ittihad from Saudi Arabia are this close to reach an agreement with Porto. Rodrigo Mora already agreed terms like 1 week ago with Al-Ittihad. And now it's all left for FC Porto and Ittihad, and they're very close to an agreement. I've even read that Jorge Mendes will get 10% of the transfer fee, which is the 70 million release clause. Why this transfer hasn't happened immediately is because Porto want the 70 million release clause to be paid immediately, whilst Ittihad wanted to pay like 40 and then the rest in installments, or the entire 70 in installments. That's why it took a little bit of while. There are people at Al-Nassr, Al-Ittihad that don't want to sign Rodrigo Mora. There are players, it's been reported, that don't want to sign Rodrigo Mora. They don't feel an 18-year-old with not that much experience is worth this kind of money. But let me tell you something. Rodrigo Mora is one of the hottest talents in Europe. That's what Rodrigo Mora is. 70 million, I think, will be seen as a steal. Imagine a Saudi club doing a steal with how much money they spent. But this could be a steal, man. Rodrigo Mora is him. Then we obviously have to talk about the move. Firstly, from Rodrigo Mora's perspective. You're 18 years of age. FC Porto, I believe they're not going to play Champions League. Maybe Europa League. You can stay there one more year, be unhappy, and then you can leave to another club. If no European club comes in for you now when Porto are asking and demanding 70M, or fight for your place. But he's going to go to Saudi Arabia. We all remember Gabri Veiga. He was like the first talented-ish player, like the first non-worst player, like a Ronaldo, like a Sadio Mane, like a Benzema, like a Kante, that went to Saudi Arabia. And we all remember how, hysteric football community, became. Even Toni Kroos commented on Fabrizio Romano's Gabri Veiga, here we go, like, this is embarrassing or something. I mean, Kroos is embarrassing himself, but that's how, the football views people going to Saudi. And I share a little bit of that belief because I believe these are competitors. Rodrigo Mora is a competitor. Every athlete is a competitor. Mbappe, competitor, Dembele, Yamal, all of these players are competitors, which means you want to play against competition. You want to play in a competitive league or in a competitive tournament. Liga NOS, obviously way more competitive in terms of average quality than in the Saudi Arabian League. Then Porto, as I said, could potentially maybe next season play Champions League or play Europa League. Tougher competition than the Asian Champions League, the Asian Europa League. So Rodrigo Mora is stepping down in terms of quality. This is the decision that he has made, agreeing immediately. We all know about the money. And that's something I've never, people say, oh my God, he's just, yeah, I mean, this is a job. What do you think a football player is? Yes, passion, 100%. I think every player should play for passion and be passionate on the pitch. But this is a job at the end of the day. And Al-Ittihad are probably offering Mora a crazy wage for his age and everything. And obviously he will accept that. So I think that the minus thing here is obviously Rodrigo Mora. Mental competitiveness, not the strongest. Because if you want to make this move, you're basically telling everyone, he's basically downgrading. You could though say Al-Ittihad are better than Porto. That could be a fair argument. It's all about the opposition that he will be playing against. How many people, do people watch Ittihad more than Porto? No. So that's from Rodrigo Mora's point of view. Obviously he can do like many players have done, which is go to Saudi, stay there for a couple of, maybe 1-2 years and then leave. I mean, we saw John Duran. He went to Al Nassr in January and then now he's in Fenerbahce on loan. So everything can go quickly. A lot of these players see Saudi as a quick step. Get the money, get the bag. But looking from Saudi's perspective, before we go to Saudi's perspective, PSG's perspective, I mean, there isn't that much. I think we always wanted Rodrigo Mora, but now that he's going to leave, I mean, we could get him in the future. But I don't think we're that, mad or angry about this transfer. But for me, the biggest thing in this transfer, apart from me, my attachment to PSG, I wanted Mora at Paris Saint-Germain. I've made like 3-4 videos about it. It's the Saudi League. The Saudi League, year by year, since they signed Ronaldo, since then, the Saudi League has grown to such an extent, it's going to rival, Europe and everything. The first similar thing to the Saudi League was obviously the Chinese League. That's when the Chinese government invested insane amount of money to make their football league competitive. That obviously died out. The Saudi thing, though, it's huge. Saudi Arabia obviously have the World Cup in 2034. Yeah, 2034, the World Cup is going to be played in Saudi Arabia. And it's not just football they're investing in. It's golf. It's all so many top sports they're investing in. And this investment is absolutely insane. And you have to understand, football it's about money. If you have money, you'll be great. Most clubs that have, apart from maybe United, they have money, but they're still ass. So I think the Saudi League, this is a blockbuster. This is obviously much bigger than Ronaldo and everything. Ronaldo, yes, is the PR and everything. But if we're talking about, from a football perspective, signing an 18-year-old, one of the hottest talents in Europe. I know his situation at Porto is not the best, but that's the man. That's Farioli. Farioli is stupid in his head, man. Rodrigo Mora was like Porto's best player, started every Club World Cup game, and now he's being treated like a bum. Like, Farioli, you are a bum, man. Completely embarrassing. And I remember when you were crying when Ajax lost the league, like a weak mentality, leaving the job immediately after instead of going back to back and trying to win the league. I'm familiar with the weak game. But Saudi League, this is an absolute huge deal, for Ittihad, for the Saudi Arabian League, because I've known the Saudi teams will be joining the Champions League soon. We obviously saw them at the Club World Cup. We saw Al-Hilal. We didn't see Ittihad. We didn't see Al-Ahli. We didn't see Al Nassr. We're going to see them soon because the football quality in the Saudi Arabian League is just getting better and better and better. I still agree that the other clubs, like apart from the top 4 clubs basically in Saudi Arabia, still have some of a long way to go to meet, the standards of a European top 5 league. But that's why those best teams need to go start playing more with us. Al-Ittihad could beat most European teams. Al Nassr could beat most European teams. Al-Hilal could beat most European teams. But a bit heartbreaking from a Paris Saint-Germain's perspective. But I hope Rodrigo Mora all the best. And hopefully we can sign him in the future. But no, as I said, I think this Rodrigo Mora signing is basically the biggest signing in Saudi Pro League history. When you look at the age and everything, like this can be that signing that makes other 18, 19, 20-year-olds go to Saudi Arabia. That's what people want to say about Ronaldo, like the Ronaldo. It's not a Ronaldo effect. They were going to give money to these players no matter what. They would have joined anyways. But this actually can change the narrative. This can change the view of how football players, people look at the Saudi League. I'm really intrigued to seeing people's reaction to Rodrigo Mora. I've seen obviously mostly PSG fans who were a bit heartbroken. We wanted Rodrigo Mora. He's not going to go to Saudi and everything. But I want to see like other football fans what they have to say with zero attachment to the signing. Probably say, oh, he's picking his money, ruining his career. Just these disgusting European mindset Westerners, man. Just hating on Saudi for no reason. This is basically, I would compare Saudi League. You can compare it somewhat to Paris Saint-Germain. Not completely, similar at all. But if you pick Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Thiago Silva, they joined Paris Saint-Germain 2 seasons after the takeover. Obviously, the first season we had Pastore, Maxwell, Thiago Motta, all of those. And those players joined, despite Paris Saint-Germain in recent time not being that good. We didn't even play in the Champions League. We played in Ligue 1, which was seen as a less competitive league than, Serie A and La Liga, other top leagues these players were in. But they decided to make this switch for many reasons. You can say money. Money will always be an objective, even though we didn't pay like crazy amounts of money wage-wise and even transfer fee-wise for these players. But it was the project as well. The project of Paris Saint-Germain got these players wanting to join them and be part of this project. Now we've won the UCL. Thiago Motta is part of that. He's part of that team. He's part of this club, part of this identity. And I think that's what a lot of players, especially Rodrigo Mora now, is looking at the Saudi Arabian project. I don't think Rodrigo Mora is done. I don't think he's making this decision mostly because of money. I think he's making this decision, first of all, because nobody else is going to go for him. Nobody wants to pay 70 million for him. And, he might change football. He might change the view people have of the Saudi. Well, that's been it. That was my full, honest thoughts about the Rodrigo Mora. Obviously, from PSG's perspective, it's a bit. But, we can sign him in the future. He's not at a club where we'll not be able to sign him in the future. That's been it from boy PSG, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. And as usual, allez Paris.